So we're quite used to the pyrotechnics here now at Aviva Stadium. It is the 50th cap for George North, of course, of Wales, who has returned after a lengthy spell on the sidelines, recovered from concussion worries, and, of course, recognition of that man, Paul O'Connell, who will be playing for the last time in an Irish jersey. He's off to Toulon, so could very well be back here in European competition. I guess I could ask any one of you gentlemen about the significance that this man...
But I think what he does best is play rugby, and he does the basics really well. Always gets your line out, always first round the corner, always sets the defensive line correctly, and doesn't make many mistakes. So he's just a phenomenal player, and at 35, for me, he's still the best second row in the Northern Hemisphere. All right, we're going to pause now, as you can hear. That's what they're doing as well in the Aviva Stadium. The squads are being named on Monday and Tuesday, Wales and Ireland respectively. It is all to play for. And after the national anthems, your commentary team, Alan Quinlan, Ian Evans and Mark Robson.
Under the battles of Captain Fergal Carroll and Sergeant Sean Hearns, and our special guests, the High King. A final match on home soil before the World Cup for Ireland, and a final international on home soil for Paul O'Connell, who retires from green after the World Cup. O'Connell is the captain. Nathan White gets his first start in an Ireland shirt, while Geordie Murphy gets his second warm-up start in the back row. In the backs, the big guns are here. Interesting selections are Luke Fitzgerald in the centre, and the wings, Dave Carney on the right, and Keith Earls gets a chance to rubber stamp his versatility. Onto the Wales selection, and they also go pretty much full bore for this one. As predicted, Thomas Francis makes his Wales debut at tight head, and Ken Owens gets a shot in the hooker shirt. No Sam Warburton, no. Justin Tipperick wears 7. In the back line, the headline is the return after concussion issues of George North, who becomes the youngest man to win 50 caps, while Scott Williams, number 12 against Ireland in Cardiff, wears number 13 this time. And onto the benches for Ireland. Tadhg Furlong will make his debut when he comes on. Rhys Priestland covers 10. Important footnote, Gareth Anscombe has an ankle injury. And the referee is Craig Joubert, who handled the 2011 Rugby World Cup final. The French wish he would have blown his whistle a little bit more in the final 20 minutes of that game against New Zealand. And the TMO is Graham Hughes on the far left. Experienced man he is. So another farewell for Paul O'Connell, this time from Dublin in green. Ireland and Wales' final 31-man squads will be selected over the weekend and named next week. This is a critical run-out. First touch for Keith Earls, and here is Johnny Sexton, such an important player to this Irish team through the World Cup, is Sexton. They pray that he stays fit and fresh and lively, and he looked lively there. And now it's Rob Kearney for brother Dave on the chase. And again, a big day for Dave Kearney, his last start for Ireland in that decisive game against France that won the Six Nations in 2014.
Well, Ireland got outside the Wales defence very easily then, far too easily. That wrap-around pass from Johnny Sexton, how often have you seen that in the green jersey of Ireland? And that was far too easy. Exposed Bradley Davis on the outside of that defensive line.
Yeah, and I think the key for both sides is 5 guys starting the first game for Ireland, 12 for Wales. There's a lot of guys first game up, and that little bit of rust. Bradley Davis just coming in there.
Good opening line out there for Ireland, utilising Jordy Murphy at the front of the line out. And in comes Richard Strauss, a starter against Wales in Cardiff, as was Jack McGrath, so 2 of the front row starting again from that game at the Millennium. Dave Kearney has made a bright start there with that carry. Now Nathan White, no Mike Ross today, the hardy perennial, under the reign of Joe Schmidt. Johnny Sexton, little drive and kick into the corner for Keith Earls. We saw some magic against Scotland, similar type of kick when Ian Madigan nailed Luke Fitzgerald.
Yeah, interesting mix there from Ireland. First of all, a couple of forward to drive in, pull defenders in, create the width from the space on the outside, and that wide kick then from Sexton, nearly finding Earls in the corner. Good intensity from Ireland at the start of this game.
So Ken Owens, and he finds Bradley Davis, who was in the World Cup squad in 2011. Now with Wasps, the former Cardiff man. A big day for Bradley Davis, you feel. Can he make his way into the squad ahead of maybe Jake Ball, taken by Keith Earls?
To a certain extent, for these respective sides, it's not about the opposition, it's about the teams themselves. Seeing some of their philosophies and attacking strategies, they might not show too much of their hand, but they want that intensity. And you see the patterns of play and sort of the fruits of all their labours of the last couple of months.
Well, they want the fundamentals right. Both coaches want good scrum, good line out and breakdown. And for Ireland, defensively, they were poor against Scotland. They'll have really worked on that in the last few weeks.
Peter O'Mahony's take this time, and Johnny Sexton, and Dan Biggar comes out of the line quite quickly there and makes the tackle. Now Conor Murray, inside ball for Keith Earls, a knock on by Ireland. So a little lack of precision there from the Irish in that particular movement. Now Toby Faletau to Ken Owens, so the big rampaging forwards out on that wide channel there. In goes Rhys Webb. 19 tries Rhys Webb scored last season for the Ospreys and for Wales.
Mention the intensity both coaches will want from their teams. Defensively, in the opening fixtures, see Rhys Webb and the pace he wants to play in the game. Defensively, both Ireland and Wales had their issues in the earlier warm-up games, both in terms of line speed and in terms of making your tackles.
Yeah, and I think Wales want to play at pace. Everybody knows that. That's probably why Adam Jones is not in the squad, and you know, Richard Hibbard, maybe some tight calls like that. They love to play with pace.
Not so precise that time. The Irish line out on the Welsh of the ball. Jimmy Roberts cannot hold it, but Luke Fitzgerald can. And that's an intelligent little kick by Luke Fitzgerald. It's stressing out this Welsh defence. And they look to have recovered well. My goodness, how quickly did those red shirts get in around their man and look after the ball. Rhys Webb gets it back to his out half. Dan Biggar, who puts in a thumping clearance, but not far enough to find Rose. It allows Ireland to go quickly. And here's Keith Earl. 7 appearances on the wing for Munster last season, all in the 14 shirt, not in the 11 shirt. And once again, there's a movement involving Keith Earls that ends up with a knock-on.
That would have pleased Warren Gatland. The defensive chase, the kick chase there was really well organised from Wales. Nowhere really for Keith Earls to go. He put the big step on, as we can come to expect from the likes of him and Luke Fitzgerald, but really well organised, well-disciplined chase. Rob Kearney's always going to look for the quick pass back in field, but the chase well organised. Look at them spreading across the field, no gaps at all.
Yeah, I think it's that work rate that Sean Edwards will be really pleased about. Earls has probably got to head towards the touchline a little bit when you're coming up the middle of the field like that, and you know, first contact for Keith Earls and he loses the ball. That'll be disappointing for him, and you know, something that Joe Schmidt will be really working on his players. Hold on to that ball. A lot of turnovers in the last couple of games.
This will be interesting. Thomas Francis on the tight head side for Wales. Samson Lee has been doing some live scrummaging. We hear he's on his way back after that Achilles problem, and Wales get a penalty at that scrummage, so a little bit of a tick in the box there and a pat on the back for Thomas Francis.
Yeah, it's a good scrum from Francis there to get the penalty. I don't think he gets this ball, he gets his side of the scrum up on Jack McGrath, but there's a whip wheel. We can see it here. You can see Jack McGrath just stepping out a tiny bit as it plays on. There is a surge, there is a bit of pressure. His right shoulder's coming up, but Jack McGrath, Strauss and Nathan White standing up. Correct call there.
He was 155 kilograms at university, was Thomas Francis. He's lost 8 kilograms in the camps in Switzerland and Qatar.
It's a big aspect of today's game, the performance of Tom Francis.
Jimmy Roberts, that first receiver, such a focal point in terms of the Warren Gatland template for Wales. And now it's Scott Williams, no Jonathan Davis, out with a cruciate injury for the World Cup and beyond. So can Scott Williams make an imprint in the outside centre shirt?
Yeah, and he'll want to put his performance in the first game against Ireland to bed, way off the game that evening.
Now down bigger, and it's Scott Williams standing at inside centre. Great break by Scott Williams, and there was an opportunity there to open up that Irish defence as Nathan White comes back and the ball bounces off the barrel chest of the Irish tight head, but danger signs.
And we're going to get wide. The pull-back pass again, ball in 2 hands, just throws Jordy Murphy there. He overcommitted, over-chased, that allowed the gap on the inside. We're fortunate, Nathan White taking his time to go back there.
Yeah, and I think the problem there is Sexton comes out of his line and he isolates Nathan White and Peter O'Mahony a little bit. It'd be frustrating for Ireland. Great break through the middle then, and you know, hint of an offside, is major offside from Nathan White.
Yeah, I think he got away with it because there wasn't a ruck formed.
Rhys Webb to Dan Biggar, and Scott Williams there with Lee Halfpenny outside him as George North back after those concussions. 4 he's had in the last year. Concussed against Wasps. The shin of Nathan Hughes hit him in the head. 27th of March that was. He hasn't played since then. And here is Justin Tipuric. Jamie Roberts. Tipuric 23 tackles in the game in Cardiff, although Ireland lorded the breakdown on that occasion. Here is Dan Biggar. A lot of height on that kick. In come the chasers. And Ireland recover the ball through Richard Strauss now. He was there for the bounce.
I think Kearney does brilliantly there to win that ball. Not cleanly, but get it back in the Irish side.
Jack McGrath carries. Dale Kilcoyne carried really well on the one shirt against Scotland. A little dink from Ireland. We saw one from Johnny Sexton earlier into the corner.
Brilliant work by getting Jenkins, loose head prop, to get back and fall on that ball.
Again, Dan Biggar signals, looks to his left. The ball's going to go high once more. So a clear tackle. Here is Rob Kearney, supreme under the high ball, twice a Lion. Now Luke Fitzgerald, twice man of the match while playing in the centre for Leinster last season. Once in the Pro 12, once in the Champions Cup. Johnny Sexton launches long. The Lions, player of the series, Lee Halfpenny. Again it goes through the air. Oh, and Rob Carney again is really brave. Flying through the air like a trapeze artist there, Rob Carney.
Both he and Dan Biggar are exceptionally strong in the air. Aerially really dominant. They like to command, and that's a good chase by Biggar as well. Both of their eyes on the ball, both in the air at the same time. Fair collision.
Yeah, super contest, and Carney is so good in the air. Biggar coming onto the ball, and you know, as Carney slips on his back, Biggar still fighting a great contest.
Well, our first chance to go down to the gain line and hear from Scott Quinnell.
Yeah, sometimes the simple things are the most effective. Look at this, it's just on the floor, early line out. There it is, wonderful pass by Conor Murray. Get over, Henshaw, that's what he wants. He wants to get into 10. Get over the top of the game, like get your players, your ball carriers into the game early.
I think what I'd like to see from Ireland today is a development on the sort of the kicking game. After 2 or 3 phases, what happens then? Is there something else to come other than the kick downfield? The sides will look to go against that and drop players back and wait for the long kick downfield from Johnny Sexton.
Yeah, well, I think their game is basically built around pressure and that kicking game, strong set piece, and we know that Joe Schmidt, he wants his team to perform the basics so well, but I think going to a World Cup, hopefully they will have something up their sleeve that they can develop. They did show it against Scotland when they, in the last 6 Nations games, when they needed to score tries, so hopefully at the World Cup they'll have some more of that attacking play.
There aren't too many braver players in the air than Dan Biggar, and he seems to have come off worse there in the clash with Rob Carney. Contrast in the build-up approaches. Ireland's training camps took in Cork, Galway, Kildare. Wales training camps, Switzerland and Qatar. What will work best come World Cup? Wales' altitude and heat approach, or Ireland's altitude and heat-free approach? Ireland a bit more meat and potatoes. Spuds for me any day.
That's the thing about preparation for World Cup. You have no idea how successful the preparation has been until the end of the tournament. And we'll all evaluate then. I think Wales will be delighted to get Dan Biggar back on his feet. Started to become such an integral part of their game.
Let's see how the scrum goes this time. Ireland were dominant in the set piece in Cardiff on the 8th of August. It's very solid for Conor Murray to work off, and then for Johnny Sexton. Here is Lee Halfpenny. Keeping the ball in play, Rob Carney. Dummied to kick and gets smashed for his troubles. Dan Lydiate, one of the tacklers. Now Ian Henderson, the versatile Ian Henderson. Second row and back row, so an ideal squad man charge down. In comes Tipperick, and then he gets his hands on the ball again. So brilliant work from the man from Trabanos. Now Biggar out to Alex Cuthbert. Big day for Cuthbert. He's got to impress, or his place in the 31-man squad might be in jeopardy. Off goes Jamie Heaslip. Tackle from Ken Owens. Now Murray has Ian Henderson outside him, but he decides to look for the grass beyond, and he finds it. Now Cuthbert, a Test Lion in 2013, a try-scoring Test Lion in 2013. Johnny Sexton takes his time from inside his 22, and a classic old-style spiral clearance from the Irish 10.
Outstanding open side flanker play. He read that Johnny Sexton was slipping back into the pocket. Again, came around, and that's what Ireland need to develop. What happens in the next phase of ball? Can't only just kick it. Tipperick read that all the way, knew Johnny Sexton was going to kick that ball, pressurised him, and the pace took him there.
Well, their defensive shape is very organised, and they seem to be working their way around the corner, getting numbers on the feet, and trying to get up and put that pressure on Ireland there, take away Sexton's space.
Good interference at the line out from Peter O'Mahony, but Wales have gathered. Now Rhys Webb, the Pro 12 player of the season. Up goes Murray with Cuthbert, and now it's Jordy Murphy. Sexton, and he's sliced that one completely off the outside of his boot. He looks a little bit disconsolate. Didn't get much game time for Racing 92 last season for various reasons. Only 900 minutes for Racing.
Again, massive pressure though. Again, like I just said, yeah, and it's interesting, they seem to be jumping up off the feet, not committing to the breakdown, and just getting those numbers around the corner.
And he's going to work out exactly when Johnny Sexton is going to kick. He has to give himself, he's going to kick, a little bit more depth. There's a bit more space and time.
Johnny Sexton has it. Rolls away from the attempted challenge there of George North, but the whistles go on. And there will be a scrummage. Of course, Wales outsmarted Ireland tactically in the quarter-finals of the World Cup in 2011, and also in Cardiff in the Six Nations.
Well, it's about taking away the kicking game. That's about it. It's easier said than done. It's one thing to say you're going to take it away, it's another thing to actually execute that. But the pressure, both sides, and the line speed from both sides, far better than in the opening couple of games of this warm-up period.
And it's that contest at the breakdown. You go back to the Six Nations, you know, Wales just blitzed Ireland around the breakdown, slowed up their possession, numbered up in defence, and frustrated Ireland then.
Equity at scrum time so far, it would seem. Thomas Francis, remember, on that tight head side, important game for the man who qualifies for Wales, because his grandmother is from Abercrave, which was the village of the birth of Adam Jones, and it's a penalty here to Wales. I think is that the first penalty of the match?
I think it's the first penalty of the... No, has it been a couple of kicks to touch, no?
It's a good scrum from Francis though. He's quite high. A guy with that amount of weight, he has that weight, can really stand to him there. It's just that technique getting a bit lower, but he got the momentum forward there. A bit of a wheel at the end. Falatau has to pick the ball up, but
it's a remarkable journey considering how little top-class rugby he's played. But he's a big man. He's still learning his craft in terms of, I'm sure Wally will talk about it at half-time. But, you know, he put a great performance against Corbisiero for Exeter Chiefs against the Saints. Struggled a little bit against a smaller loosehead prop in Nick Wood from Gloucester. And that's the sort of technique he has to develop. But signs are very promising so far.
Ken Owens back after a nasty neck injury. No Richard Hibbert in the squad now, who was axed unceremoniously by Warren Gatland along with Mike Phillips and James Hook. And the maul is progressing. Rutgard Strauss does some good defensive work in there to get the tackle in and to semi-negate the maul. And off go Wales, rumbling round the corner, putting this Irish defence to work on. Ian Henderson drives through and over the top. Joe Schmidt will love that rucking style, because there was some energy there from the Ulsterman. Here is Conor Murray with the clearing kick, and Ireland will be happy with how they recovered there.
yeah, great work from Jack McGrath and Henderson. That power coming through. O'Connell initially makes that tackle. We see the latch on here coming around. Gethin Jenkins. O'Connell is at the breakdown. Ken Hone's a little bit high. What a great drive through by Henderson there and Alan Wynne-Jones.
He is such a dynamic player, Ian Henderson. I mean, potential to be a star of the game. That is no doubt. What I like about Wales so far more control, cohesion in their performance as opposed to a couple of weeks ago at the Millennium.
Bradley Davis with the line out take, and it's Tipperick in there again, playing the old Neil back roll so far. That's twice he's been at the tail of that maul. Now here's Scott Williams already. He has scythed his way through this Irish defence, but he's not going to do it this time. And again, Ireland come in driving hard at the breakdown, but here's Rhys Webb now for George North and Dan Bigger for Lee Halfpenny. And Ireland come in from the side. They concede the penalty, which gives us another opportunity to head down to Scott Quinnell.
But Justin Tipperick has had a great start to this game, but we see him do lots of good things. But it's the little things as well as an open side flag. And there we are, Jody Murphy, it's just a little shoulder, it's just a little angle at run, and then all of a sudden it just opens that space up, and then Scott Williams is through. So you see a lot of good things, but it's what he does that people don't see as well.
Yeah, I thought Jody Murphy allowed himself to be pushed out of the way far too easily there. You've got to fight for that space.
And that's a little bit of an experience. You've got to get up into that line, be aggressive when there's guys going past us. First opportunity for Wales. There's an unbelievable contest at this breakdown. Even in the wide channels, we see Henshaw making tackles. You know, they're under a little bit of pressure there, but great contest at the breakdown.
Lee Halfpenny, golden boots, and today, quite literally, because we hear there are 9 carat Welsh gold studs in those boots from the hills of Snowdonia.
He'll have to watch his gear bag after the match when he's in Dublin anyway.
With you about, yes, definitely.
Big time.
I don't think he's giving those boots away.
And it's a very shiny start from Golden Boots himself.
A new ring. It just didn't move, didn't deviate at all, just drilled that through the post. Precious commodity, being able to accumulate that many points in the board, just keeps you in the game. Those boots take a new context and the word boot money.
Sexton, bit of depth in that restart. Falatau to Dan Biggar. A Sky pundit these days in his spare time is Dan Biggar, and a very polite and humble individual he is too.
And he's taken on far more of a leadership role as he apologised to his teammate. He's hoping for a bit more than that. But he's taken on far more of a leadership role.
He's really matured, hasn't he?
He certainly has. You know, he got comfortable into that outside half role, how important that is.
Strauss did not work there. Some form of miscommunication there. Rhys Webb takes it on. And need a scrum half to move into position there. It was Dan Lydiate who took over the role, but it wasn't the best Gareth Edwards class pass, that's for sure, from the blindside flanker. Here's Rhys Webb now. And Lydiate carries, who was one of the master choppers in that World Cup quarter-final against Ireland 4 years ago.
I think the Welsh team won more than that now. A ball carrying capability as well.
Again, Carney, eyes on the ball. He hasn't gathered this one, and Justin Tipperick once more is the first player to read the situation and points. Scott Williams is half penny outside. Jamie Roberts on the inside. Brilliant rugby from Wales there, involving Biggar and Roberts. What interplay that was. And now Bradley Davis carries. So Wales beginning to assert themselves in this opening 20 minutes. Gethin Jenkins carries. He's on the verge of a 4th World Cup, is Gethin Jenkins. As Jordy Murphy tries to get his considerable frame over the ball, hasn't managed to do it. Ken Owens carries. Peter O'Mahony makes the tackle. Dan Biggar, yet again, it's the powerful figure of Jamie Roberts off to London next season. And Harlequins, Alan Wynne Jones, his 90th appearance for Wales. And this is good continuity from the Welsh. Alan Wynne Jones again. 6 starting tests as a Lion for Wynne Jones, the Welsh captain. And they're getting very close here, Wales, and yet again the key, it seems, is the patience. And the referee was playing an advantage for an offside there, but Wales again putting Ireland under pressure defensively.
Very physical from Wales. They're keeping ball retention. First of all, gaining a foothold for their high kicks, their aerial game. That's allowing a good position in Ireland's half, and then they're getting the big boys to carry. They're playing an awful lot off scrum half, keeping that, and then they're flooding the challenge thereafter.
Yeah, there's great shape to their attack for a lot of guys who haven't played. It's their first game. These guys know each other so well. They know the shape, they know the guys, the support play. What a pass here from Biggar. Look, off the left. Great pace to Scott Williams, and just those inside lines, Roberts, Biggar, back to Halfpenny. That comes with confidence. It just doesn't come their first game.
Yeah, it's also flooding the channel. You know, you expect your ball carrier to make a bust, to make a semi-break, and you're there. You don't only hope someone's going to be supporting you. You expect someone to support you. And that's a different mindset.
And they look like a team in the last couple of weeks. We heard Gatland saying it after the first warm-up game. Their big focus now is on rugby. And I'm sure they've spent a lot of time. And so far, for the first 20 minutes, they look to have great shape about them.
And Joe Schmidt said before the game, one of the keys today was Ireland getting their set piece right. What do you think about that so far, Alan?
Well, I tell you, Alan Wynne-Jones and O'Connell know each other well. They've played together with the lines, they've played against each other, and that gap in that line out, Alan Wynne-Jones is just closing that gap, and they're putting a lot of pressure on that line out, which is frustrating, and there's a timing issue there with the throws as well.
When it happened in the Six Nations, Wales, I think, stole 4 line-out balls off Ireland in the Six Nations, and last week Jim Hamilton was causing problems to Ireland's line, so something Ireland have to address.
Ireland stole 3 of Wales' line-outs in Cardiff at the beginning of August. Not that time, though. That was very secure. George North is in the middle of that ball, and so too is Scott Williams, and they certainly add some power and some muscle to that drive. And Wales are inches away. That's Dan Bigger in there. He is orchestrating everything there. He's shouting and roaring at the players around him, getting them into the right positions. Ken Owens goes really low there, like a 16-stone groundhog. Using the monstrous front row forwards there to try and pile drive their way over the line. They haven't quite succeeded.
It's all momentum again and go forward. Great win, the line out, a little shift in the drive. Alan Wynne-Jones puts the ball down to Davies at the front and just moves that point of attack a little bit. But for me, that's Ireland are lucky there. That's not a penalty try.
There's certainly evidence of intensity from Wales' performance, but 2 aspects they were missing in the first game to the 2 sides: control and cohesion. Far better, far tighter.
That's the 5th penalty Ireland have conceded in the match, 4 of them in their own half.
Yeah, it's coming from all that pressure. Guys coming in from the side. I think could have been Peter O'Mahony in the middle of that line-up.
Alan Wynne-Jones again is the target. And they find the bullseye with their captain. And once again, it's Justin Tipperick carrying, and once again, Ireland concede a penalty inside their own half, close to their line. Rhys Webb knew the penalty was coming, and Craig Gilbert will bring them back for that penalty.
Yeah, it was a speculative kick from Rhys Webb. He knew the penalty was coming. Always when you do that, mind your heart's in your mouth just in case the referee thinks that's a long enough advantage, but generally they were very much trying something out.
Oh, yeah. But I tell you what, though, Ireland are in the grinder right now.
That's now 2 collapses in a row in this area. I have to believe it's a deliberate tactic.
The pressure's really been exerted as Welsh Park. That time you saw George North and Jamie Roberts both putting themselves in that driving line out.
You can't underestimate the value of having someone like Thomas Francis that's so big and strong. He gives you that anchor at the front. John Hayes played that role for Munster, for Ireland, throughout the years when they were mauling, and you can see Francis at the front of that maul. It's taken 2 guys to kind of get in anywhere near the ball.
Well, it's fill in space, and it's a very difficult defensive team to go in there and disrupt, because such a big man. How do you get around him?
The line-out's been functioning well for Wales in this key area, and it does again. This time Bradley Davis is the target, and yet again the backs are in there with George North, and Jamie Roberts I think's in there too, and Scott Williams. A mass of Welsh flesh, and it's like a huge red tourniquet. They just squeezed and squeezed and intensified the pressure wave on wave.
Yeah, it was coming. That pressure was coming. You know, we've seen the penalties given away. Great organisation there. Davies takes the ball at the front. Lydiate is in at it. You know, it's Wynne-Jones here, actually. My apologies. Takes the ball at the front. It's great shape. You have Francis, Lydiate, Bradley Davies, and then you have the backs joining, Scott Williams, North, and that momentum is just taking them forward. You can see the fight. Ireland are a little bit high at the front, and that momentum gets them over in the end.
The sheer bulk and weight, but also got to compliment the communication. Those things just don't work by accident. They work because they've prepared, they've practiced, a lot of communication, a lot of talking involved.
And that front line work after that ball is lifted, when Alan Wynne-Jones goes up in the air, it's the guys lifting him. They're vital. And if you don't break that up straight away, if they get set, which Wales did there, you're in trouble. It's all about body shape, body height and strength then.
Well, Ireland beat Wales 35-21 on the 8th of August. But it's Wales in the ascendancy here. A much stronger Welsh team, of course. That was very much the second string, but the first choice selection showing what power and intensity they have. And we think the try has been scored by Justin Tipuric.
And they seem to want to take Ireland on up front in this first kind of, you know, around the fringes, in the scrum, in the line out. So they're obviously sent out with that. We know that Wales can play the wide game, but certainly up early on, the first 20-25 minutes, they're taking Ireland directly on up front.
George North, there's a lot of muscle about this Welsh performance, a lot of muscle in the frame of George North there, and it is great to see him back after all of those concussions. His 50th cap today. Youngest player ever to 50 caps in an international jersey. Dan Biggar, and this is Keith Earl's ball. He's got Johnny Sexton outside him, the inside ball to Rob Kearney. Good footwork by Kearney, tackled missed by Wales. Now Conor Murray to Rob Kearney's brother Dave. Andrew Trimble, by the way, 80 minutes for Ulster against Edinburgh last night. Tommy Bowe, 40 minutes completed and a try scored for Ulster in the same game. So big, heavy competition in the wing burst for Ireland, closing in on the announcement of that 31-man squad. Sexton yet again looks to the inside ball. Paul O'Connell, don't think he was quite expecting that, but the Irish captain does well to hold on to it. O'Mahony, another Munster man. Some ferocious defending by Wales. Scott Williams coming in there. Now Rickard Strauss and Wales again trying to get at Ireland before they can get themselves over the gain line. Ian Henderson, he does get through the gain line, and quite good tiptoeing work for a massive man in there, Ian Henderson, just to get away from the tackler. Johnny Sexton, up comes Jamie Roberts again. He commits himself defensively to hit Jamie Hazlip, but Alan Wynne-Jones has been penalised for not rolling away, and Ireland get the kick at the post, you would think, from a position like this.
A lot of that pressure, Mylan, came on this kick reception. Now you've got Alice Cuthbert chasing this. Now he decides he's not going to get there at the same time as the ball, but he stops and he goes backwards, which then allows Ireland an opportunity to counter-attack. You've got to keep going. If you're not going to get there at the same time as the ball, just ease off a bit, but you've got to hit the man. You can't allow him to re-establish a platform and beat that first man.
It's a poor enough kick from Biggar crossfield as well. I think he got caught between the crossfield and putting some height in it. As you say, though, you know, you've got to come up, hold the line. Kearney runs a great line on the inside, that support line. Earls knows he's coming. Great line by Kearney on the inside. A little bit of momentum there from Ireland, a little bit of a reaction, but I still think Wales are frustrating that little bit. The ball is coming back too slow for Conor Murray.
First penalty conceded by Wales. Johnny Sexton defines Ireland in the way a fig defines a fig roll. Can Ireland function effectively at the World Cup? Should Sexton get injured? All of Ireland dreads that.
Explain fig roll to me.
You're not as bright as I thought. But the bright star here has come from Wales, but Ireland at last post some points.
Welcome respite from the pressure Wales have exerted on Ireland, and Johnny Sexton able to nail the point. They'll want to start becoming a bit more physical. I've been a little bit surprised at the lack of physicality from Ireland so far in this game. They need to step, particularly in view of what we've seen from France so far in these warm-up games, been really physical up front.
I think they're a little bit lateral. We saw a great break from Ian Henderson. Strong Welsh defence in front of him, but great little footwork, and that's what he brings. Ireland have just got to get over that gain line. Credit to Wales, their defensive structure and their work rate and their application to breakdown has been first class so far.
Peter O'Mahony carries outside the 22, which of course limits the options then for the players behind him. And nice hands from Ireland, but it's all on the edge of their own danger zone. So is that the best policy? A question for the boys. I'm sure they have an answer. Here's Jordy Murphy. And now Conor Murray looks around him and he finds his fullback Rob Carney. He slices the ball. So another a poor passage of play perhaps from Ireland.
Well, Will Cameo sort of mirrors the opening half an hour of this game. Really not being able to make significant yardage with their ball carrying, forced back into the pocket, and then poor kicks, not gaining territory. They're losing the collisions at the moment, which means they're not going anywhere, not going forward.
Wales have had a couple of practice matches since they played against Ireland, an in-house game, and then a match against the Ospreys. They plan to play Cardiff next week, I believe. Here's Cuthbert carrying hard. That's good work again from Wales. Very much the template, using those big carriers to smash away through the green line. Rhys Webb to Scott Williams, and you feel Wales are building rapidly in confidence here. And as I said, that they turn the ball over, and Ireland have it through Ian Henderson.
Onside Wales.
Conor Murray clears. Lee Halfpenny, two of the finest exponents of taking the high ball in World Rugby in terms of the 15 shirt on show today, in Lee Halfpenny and Rob Carney. Now Bradley Davis. Again, he just makes that extra half metre, which is so important. And now Dan Biggar puts in the kick for Robertson. Cuthbert to chase. Keith Earls has to be strong here. Wales have it through Roberts going down on the ball. And here is Rhys Webb. It's Ken Owens.
There's a better kick from Dan Biggar. Good hang time, able to compete.
Wales commit a sin, not releasing at the breakdown. Ireland turning the ball over and winning a penalty.
Yeah, good work from Peter O'Mahony there to break down. He just got into that contest, but you mentioned, Jai, superb kick from Biggar across field, isolating Earls with Cuthbert and Jamie Roberts coming on. It's a very, very difficult situation. Really good vision out of him.
I think Peter O'Mahony's ploughing a very lonely furrow at the moment. When you look at the breakdown, he seems to be battling a lot of Welsh jerseys on his own.
Yeah, well, the Welsh numbers are good at the breakdown, and you know, Heaslip makes a tackle here, gets in, locks in. A little bit of help from Luke Fitzgerald. We can see the left hand around the back. That helps when you're in there as a player. It stabilises you a bit from that hit that you're going to receive from the opposition. Ireland
16 wins out of 20 under Joe Schmidt. That already under threat in this game as Jimmy Heaslip takes the line-out ball, and Robbie Henshaw with a characteristic charge from inside centre. That's Keith Earls in the midfield, where he is, of course, comfortable. Played in the outside centre shirt against Wales in Cardiff alongside Darren Cave. Both centres played well in that game. Conor Murray. Oh, another little fumble in there from Ireland. Again, they were closing in on the red zone of Wales, and then the little nudge.
These games are called warm-ups for a very good reason, getting used to things, but be worrying Ireland slightly is how ineffective their phase played at the moment. They're not making significant enough yardage. They're doing good off the first phase, making good yardage, and then after that, as you mentioned a few times, when the ball's been slowed down to pretty much walking speed.
But Wales are getting that balance really right there. Henshaw makes an initial surge, and they're relying on some footwork to get him through that little gap. Ken Owens, the hooker, makes the carry, gets back on his feet again and slows that ball. Conor Murray's digging for the ball. The next ruck, there's nobody in it. There's no Welsh player. Scott Williams makes a tackle, he bounces up around, and there's no contest then. So they're getting that balance brilliantly right, Wales.
Ireland needs to pick up and go a little bit more, just to pull in defenders. They're not attracting enough defenders.
Absolutely, I think they need to run around the fringes a little bit harder. There's just so many guys running out, so many numbers in front of Sexton, and they're coming off the line really well. So, you know, this is typical Sean Edwards' defence.
Well, Wales scrum against Ireland in Cardiff was about as stable as the Chinese stock market, but this time it looks much more secure.
Is that where you've invested all your millions, is it?
Crouch. Bind. Set. Hit and chase, Green. Hit and chase, wait for
You might have heard Craig Joubert there. Ireland penalised for hitting and chasing.
It's a bit finicky, that one. He blew it very, very early. I don't know if there was much in that, but Little boost for Wales there, and Thomas Francis again.
Craig Joubert, by the way, will handle both of these teams in the World Cup. He'll be refereeing the Ireland-Romania game and the Australia-Wales game, which might be pivotal. In comes Rob Kearney, great take again. My goodness, he claims those balls well. Conor Murray for Ian Henderson. Again, he tries to use that quick footwork on the floor, which can be so effective, as he's already shown in this game.
As he wants to be full back, commitment and conviction.
Sexton and Keith Earls once more popping up in the middle of the pitch. Didn't quite work, but Ireland still have possession through Luke Fitzgerald. His first start in the 13 shirt for Ireland since a game against Argentina in November 2008. Loose from Ireland. Jack McGrath grapples on the ball, on the floor for the ball, and collects. Sexton, that look forward to Richard Strauss. Was that another error by Ireland there? Well, actually, the Welsh committed the first infringement there, which was offside.
Contesting the ball is good.
There's no breathing space for Ireland and Johnny Sexton at the moment. The pressure is relentless from Wales. They're getting back on their feet, reloading, getting back in position, pressurising, keeping that line speed going. And it's closing down the space, it's suffocating Ireland and Johnny Sexton at the moment.
Yeah, it's very, very impressive. That line speed is incredible, and it's so difficult as a player when you make tackles, get back on your feet, get organised, look what's in front of you, communicate, and then actually push forward. So they look very fit, they look very sharp. And you mentioned, Rob, on commentary, they've had some in-house games in the last few weeks, and it's obvious to see that.
Strauss for Ian Henderson, 6'7" to aim for. Robbie Henshaw, now Luke Fitzgerald. Conor Murray. It's a bit more like it from Ireland. Just getting a modicum of momentum there. Now Nathan White, the former Waikato captain, 33 years of age, in his first start in an Irish shirt. Jack McGrath carries. Cian Healy may be on the bench next week, we hear, against England at Twickenham. Oh, thundering tackle coming in there on Paul O'Connell. He was almost upended. I think it was Dan Lydiot in classic style. Lydiot's certainly the last man to get up. Here is Heaslip. The captain in Cardiff was Jamie Heaslip. Oh, and just yet again in this first half, just when Ireland look as if they're beginning to cause an issue to this Welsh defence, they knock on or concede a penalty, and that's the 7th penalty Ireland have conceded.
Yeah, Ireland are throwing numbers into the breakdown, and they're still being beaten. I'm going to commit more and more green jerseys to every breakdown. The Wales seem very adept and only slowing that ball down, but turning it over as well. And that time, Tipperick very much in evidence. Well,
it's an awareness, yeah, and when to go in, when not to go in, when to compete, and when the ball is lost. And they're getting that right at the moment. And Tipperick sensed an opportunity, and he is so good at that. He's so quick. He spins around, gets the body position right, and wins the penalty. Super work from Tipperick.
That's when great players in the breakdown have always been superior to the others. They've scanned, they've identified where the opportunity, and whether that's the likes of Brian Driscoll, whether it's the like of Richie McCaw, Pocock, Hooper, they identify when and they act on it.
Oh, it's going way over the head of Alan Wynne-Jones there. Easy ball for Richard Strauss. Sexton for Henshaw, the wraparound, we've seen it so often. And now Dave Kearney collects the ball from brother Rob. And Lee Halfpenny, I think that ball ricocheted off his shin, but he did well to get back to the ball.
Lee Halfpenny covers acres and acres of territory.
Ireland have this on the floor.
With a chance at the goal here.
Again, as you say, gentlemen, can they now identify what space there is on that pitch? There hasn't been very much for Ireland in this first half. Wales have closed it all down. Jordy Murphy is the latest to feel the weight of a big Welsh tackle from Alan Wynne-Jones. Nathan White for Luke Fitzgerald. Johnny Sexton was so close to being the perfect weight for the Munster man.
The key defender earlier on in those phases was Dan Bigger. He cut off the wide pass, knew there was danger outside. He cut off the wide pass, and then that happened. I've forced the kick behind and nearly bounced up in Keith Earl's hands.
You can't underestimate the work of
A late penalty in this first half, and that will tough out. Off goes Heaslett. Can Ireland finish this half with a try? They feel the defence is stretched, or they can find a way.
What a try from Henderson. We spoke about opportunity again. O'Mahony makes the hard yards here. Just great power and pace through.
I think it came from that poor scrum initially, but how hard did Ian Henderson work to get around the corner?
And a really clever individual performance by Justin Tipperick. It's been about the red, it's been about the green, it's also been about the blue of the Tipperick head guard who scored that Welsh try.